Well, thank you una sa lahat sa pagkakataon para mag-share po sa inyo tungkol sa isang topic na napakahalaga sa buhay ng simbahan, ng lipunan, at napakahalaga sa aking personal na experience, which is responsible parenthood and natural family planning. Dalawang bagay na natutunan ko mula kay Father John Carroll noong ako'y naka-assign sa Payatas at siya ay alam po nating mahal na mahal niya ang Payatas at binigyan ng buong atensyong itong napakahalagang tema. At marami akong natutunan patungkol sa natural family planning, tungkol sa responsible parenthood, tungkol sa kahalagahan ng pamilya mula kay Father John Carroll. And that experience na nagsimula sa Payatas at na-develop sa Barangay Commonwealth and then sa Camarin at kasalukuyan sa back to Barangay Commonwealth and Batasan, yun po ang gusto kong ma-share sa inyo. So, I will be talking about responsible parenthood in the context of Amoris Laetitia, yung beautiful letter of Pope John Paul II, Pope Francis, echoing the teachings of John Paul II, echoing the beautiful teachings of Pope Benedict XVI, going back to the Vatican II, and especially re-echoing and put it in the context of our current and present situation, Humanae Vitae of Paul VI. So I want to share my sharing in three different parts. The first part will be, I will be sharing some highlights of this encyclical or this letter of Pope Francis, Amoris Laetitia. I think it's important that we fully understand the beauty of this document. On a second part, I will be particularly talking about what is the teaching on responsible parenthood of Amoris Laetitia, but also of Humanae Vitae. And then on a third part, I will be sharing some insights and pastoral suggestions nagmumula sa puso ng isang kura paroko. Hindi po ako isang theologian, hindi po ako isang teacher, hindi po ako isang doktor. Ang aking pananaw at punto de vista ay ang pananaw ng isang pastol, ng isang kura paroko na laging na-assign sa mga mahirap na komunidad. So, mula dito, magbibigay ako ng ilang pastoral learnings, sabihin natin, na sa tingin ko ay maaaring makakatulong. So, let's go to the first. The first point is some highlights of this beautiful Amoris Laetitia of Pope Francis. Number one, the Church needs to understand families and individuals in all their complexity. And I love this point of the document. We cannot make things black and white. Life in the family is complicated. Family situations are complicated. Hindi po lahat ay nag-fit in the ideal nating tatay, nanay, at dalawa o tatlong anak makakapatid. Not all family follows that pattern. And so we have a huge variety of family situations where you have where you have single parents, where you have kids separated from their fathers and mothers because they are working abroad and they are at home with their grandmother, where you have families with 10 or 15 kids, where you have families with no kids at all, where you have families with... So the complexity, it's so diverse, where you have family of a second family, when you have family of 2 or 3 separations in between, etc., etc., etc. We know that the reality family is so different from the ideal husband, wife, and kids. And this document said the church cannot understand family only from the perspective of the ideal, only from the point of view of the ideal. And this is very, very heart of Pope Francis. He always insists you look at the reality from the periphery, not from the center. The center will be the perfect family. The center will be father, mother, brother, and sister. That will be the perfect family. But we know that the reality has a lot of peripheries. Andyan si single mother, andyan si tatay na nakakulong, andyan si tatay na 10 taon na nasa Saudi, hindi nakauwi, andyan si tita na parang tumatay yung nanay dahil naulila mga bata, andyan si tatay that is gay and is living with his partner. And all these realities of a very, very different family from the traditional family, the church said we have to look at the reality of family from all these perspectives. And we keep with the model, we keep with the ideal, but we realize that families are very diverse. And so looking at reality from the complexity of the peripheries. And this is something very, very beautiful. No? In other words, one size does not fit all. So it won't be a document that really, just as it is, can be applied to everyone at the same time. It calls for the pastors to use pastoral discernment. It calls for the families to use pastoral discernment. Okay. Second point is the role of conscience is paramount in moral decision making. So it teaches families the super difficult art of discernment. Discernment. Nung ako'y nasa Payatas, Parish Priest, I was so happy kasi may isang grupo na galing sa CEFAM na nagsimula pong magturo, nagsimula ng family and life sa aming parokya ng Payatas. And it came from CEFAM, and the group and the approach was suyuan. Marriage encounter made short para makonvince sa mga lalaki na sumama. And after you complete the suyuan program, you will go to another program, you will go to marriage encounter program. Eventually, you will go to what was called Buhay Spiritual Mag-asawa. And sobrang thankful ako dahil tinuruan ang mga parishioners, ang mga couples, very simple people, tinuruan the art of discernment, ang pagninilay, To make decisions, you don't need to just to ask the parish priest what to do. You need to pray. And in the context of prayer is where the conscience can make a firm, prayerful, listening decision. And the Pope appeals to that, the role of conscience when you make moral decisions. And I think this is something beautiful and will have a lot of pastoral consequences in our parishes and dioceses. Third is, divorced and remarried Catholics need to be fully integrated into the church. They are part of the community. The document very clearly states that matrimony is sacred. This was instituted by Christ. It will never change. The marriage will always be the marriage between a man and a woman, and it will be be really stable. It will be monogamous, and it will be for life. But some people are not living the ideal calling, and so the church remains a hospital that receives everyone, that will not ask you what is your situation in life, what is your marriage situation in life, but will embrace you with mercy and compassion and help you grow in holiness from the point where you are. There is no starting point in the church. You start your life in the church as you are, and then you are directed towards heaven for all of us. So whatever situation, whatever sin, whatever reality, is not a condition that will make you unacceptable in the church. So divorced and remarried Catholics need to be fully integrated in the church. This is something very beautiful. The Pope said in number 243, they are not excommunicated and should not be treated as such, since they remain part of the church. Okay. Number 4 is all members of the family need to be encouraged to live good Christian lives. All of us. So living a life of fidelity is a challenge for the whole family. Holiness, it has a family dimension. And I love that particular aspect. Holiness has a family dimension. Hindi lang personal, hindi lang individual ang aking pananagutan sa Diyos sa aking kabanalang. Ang buhay kabanalang ay ang panawagan ng Diyos sa isang buong pamilya. At alam po natin na ganon nga talaga. Na hindi po tayo ay isolated and we affect our families as well as our families affect us, both good and bad. And so, the challenge of a familiar holiness, a holiness of the whole family, yun po isa sa mga bagay na hindi masyado na-explore. But if you realize, no, from the past several years, there has been several families, like the family of Saint Therese of Lisieux, where the whole family is in the process of sainthood. Because the church realizes saints are not isolated cases. They grow in the context of holy communities, holy families, and these are the contexts that bring up holy people. And so the sense of a communitarian holiness, that's something very beautiful. Okay, number 6, what might work in one place may not work in another place, and therefore yung kahalagahan ng pakikinig sa context, cultural context ng bawat bansa. Ang katotohanan ay pangkalahatan. But ang cultural context, kung ano ang mahalaga sa isang lugar, ay nagbabarye din ng kahalagahan kung gaanong kahalaga ito sa ibang lugar. And so, it is important that each country or region can seek solutions better suited to their culture. Therefore, this is a big encouragement to what the Pope will keep pushing, that is synodality, for the local churches to walk the way of communal discernment, and therefore to talk the family issues at a national level or at a regional level, to be able to talk the problems from reality and to give concrete answers from the reality. He said something beautiful. Not every question can be settled by the magisterium, that is the church's teaching office. Not everything has to be settled by Rome. And nakakagulat, no, na mismong Santo Papa ang sabi nito. But isang malaking katotohanan ito. Kaya maraming issues ay binabagsak, binabalik sa Bishops' Conference in the regional level para pag-uusapan ang katotohanan contextualize. Ang katotohanan na ay at lagi ay magiging katotohanan but contextualize. Just to put an example, I am from Latin America, from Argentina particularly. In my country, kami ay mga anak ng mga immigrants. So mga ninuno ko, mga lolo at lola ko, tulad ng practically every other Argentinian ay galing sa ibang bansa na nag-migrate sa Argentina dahil sa kahirapan, panahon ng gera sa Europe. But once na-establish in Argentina, they remain in Argentina. So we are not kasalukuyan, we are not an exporters of workers to the world. So hindi po masyadong marami ang mga Argentinians na kalat sa mundo. So we are not much of exporters. Our reality culturally was more of importers. We receive people like United States, Argentina, these receiving countries. Okay. Now, the Philippines is a exporter of people. No? Dami-daming Pilipino na nagwo-work sa iba't ibang bansa. So the reality of families that are separated de facto but not separated legally or emotionally. Therefore, yung tatay at yung nanay ay nagmamahalan, ngunit 5 taon na hindi nakikita dahil yung isa ay nagtatrabaho sa isang bansa. That's the reality of the Philippines. So, it doesn't apply sa realidad ng Latin America. And you cannot talk about family of being intact but separated dahil sa Latin America hindi mauunawaan. But you cannot talk of the families in the Philippines without considering the reality of the OFWs. And that's the point of contextualizing the truth. At dahil doon, uulitin ko, not every question can be settled by the magisterium. Kailangan din pag-uusapan on the regional level. Number 7, traditional teaching on marriage are affirmed, but the church should not burden people with unrealistic expectations. So, the point here is we have to reaffirm the traditional teaching of the church. Marriage is a sacrament. Marriage is a sacrament between a man and a woman, and that union is for life. There is no possibility of putting time or time bounding that union. And so that's the traditional teaching of the church, and the traditional teaching of the church remains. So, this is a very important point, no? Marami na criticize sa open approach ni Pope Francis, na thinking na in that intention to accommodate people and make them feel the mercy of God, malilimutan yung mga katotohanan na itinuro ng Panginoon sa Ebanghelyo. And the answer is very strong, no. Marriage is a marriage between a man and a woman and is for life. So, no to divorce, no to gay marriage. Lahat po ito ay clearly defended and stated in this document. The traditional teaching on marriage, it's part of the deposit of the faith, and the church carries on with that. Number 8, children must be educated in sex and sexuality. Ina-affirm na mahalaga na ang family takes the role and the initiative in teaching sexuality to the young people. Otherwise, they will learn in a culture that will teach totally the opposite. Will objectify sex, separating it from the plan of God separating this from love. So if the family does not take the role, the active initiative, the whole family will be attacked. And so a big calling dito to work with the children and with the young people and not to be afraid to talk about these issues. Two more points about the Amoris Laetitia that for me are important. Gay men and women should be respected and accepted and loved. And this is very important. Before all else, the homosexual person needs to be respected in his or her dignity and treated with consideration, and every sign of unjust discrimination is to be carefully avoided, particularly any form of aggression or violence. And so I'm quoting number 250 of Amoris Laetitia. The importance of accepting that a person with a homosexual orientation will feel the love and acceptance of his family, of his church. Napakahalaga dito. Malaking challenge para sa simbahan, malaking challenge para sa mga parents. Hindi yung tipong ino-ostracize, inuusig, pinapahiya, tinatakot. All these words that so often ay nangyari sa maraming gay people, even in their own families. Ang panawagan po ng simbahan is really, they should be loved and respected sa lahat ng lugar and not discriminated sa lahat ng dako, but higit sa lahat at una sa lahat, sa kanilang sariling pamilya at sa inang simbahan. And number 10, something very from the heart of Pope Francis, all are welcome. The Church must help families of every sort and people in every state of life know that even in their imperfections, they are loved by God and can help others experience that love. Pastor must work to make people feel welcome in the church. Ito isa sa mga talagang laging mahalagang point sa teaching ni Pope Francis. We should make people feel welcome. No matter how they are, no matter what their wrong choices in life, no matter what their struggles they are experiencing, lahat po ng tao ay welcome sa simbahan. At kung hindi po ito ang nangyari, you will never experience the joy of love. Now, let me talk particularly. Amoris Laetitia chapter 5 speaks particularly about responsible parenthood. And I want to read number 165. It's so beautiful. The Pope says, love always give life. Diba? Ang ganda, no? Love always gives life. Walang pagmamahal na sarado sa buhay. Walang pagmamahal na ayaw sa buhay. Hindi po pwede nagmamahal at nagbibigay kamatayan. Hindi po pwede yon. And this resonates very strongly in topics like abortion, in topics like euthanasia. Di ba? Hindi po pwede na tawagin love, pero ayaw makaroon ng mga anak dahil wala lang, ayoko, ang pangit ng mundo. Di ba sinasabi ng couples na, kawawa naman ang bata, kaya ayoko dalhin ng mga bata sa mundong ito. No, Pope says, love always gives life. Love and life are connected. Okay. Conjugal life, the love of husband and wife, does not end with the couple. The couple, in giving themselves to one another, give not just themselves, but also the reality of children who are living reflection of their love, a permanent sign of their conjugal unity, a living and inseparable synthesis of there being a father and a mother. So this, for me, it's very, very, very beautiful. No, love is always open to life. And love does not end with the couple. Nagmamahalan sila, doon nagsisimula. Nagmamahalan sila, they want to make a life with God. God wants to make them one. Kaya ang tawag sa Tagalog sa kasal ay pag-iisang dibdib. But never ends. It's not a beginning and end in itself. Conjugal love is always open to their children. It's looking forwards to give life. Okay. Number 166, the Pope says, the family is the setting in which a new life is not only born, but also welcome as a gift of God. It's not just bringing life to the world, but welcoming life to the world. Napakahalaga ito. I love this. It's not just bringing life, but it's welcoming life. Buong ugali ito eh. Buong ugali ng pagtanggap, ng pasasalamat, ng, alam nyo, marami dapat tayo matutunan mula sa mga mahirap. When you minister to the poor, kapag nalamang ni babae na siya ay buntis, ang sinasabi ay blessing. Sa pananaw ng mahirap, life is always blessing. And that's something so beautiful, no? That's something so beautiful. Each new life allows us to appreciate the utterly gratuitous dimension of love, which never ceases to amaze us. It is the beauty of being loved first. Children are loved even before they arrive. Beautiful. And this is so much in the Philippines, isn't it? It's so much in the Philippines. Listen to what Pope says in number 167. Large families are a joy to the church. They are an expression of their fruitfulness of love. At the same time, St. John Paul II rightly explained that responsible parenthood does not mean only procreation. Kasi maraming beses ganito ang pakakaintindi ng maraming tao na kapag sinasabi ng simbahan na we promote responsible parenthood, ang ibig nating sabihin ay manganak na manganak na manganak. Pope John Paul II said it beautiful. Responsible parenthood does not mean unlimited procreation. Hindi po ibig sabihin manganak na manganak. Or lack of awareness of what is involved in rearing children. Siyempre, alam ng family kung kaya o hindi niya kaya sa kanilang kalagayan, sa kanilang kahirapan, etc., etc., etc. But it's rather the empowerment of couples to use their inviolable liberty wisely and responsibly, taking into account social and demographic realities, as well as their own situation and legitimate desires. I love this point very much. It's not only procreation, it's enabling couples to be mature, formed, and to make decisions on their own. Considering lahat po ng na kailangan i-consider, kung ilang anak mayroon na, kung anong economic situation ng kanilang pamilya, kung ilang ang kaya pa or hindi niya. Parents are called to call the shots here and to do it responsible. So, hindi ibig sabihin manganak ng manganak, hindi ibig sabihin only procreation. Ang ibig sabihin is loving, mature use of freedom by the couple. Pope Paul VI has beautiful words about responsible parenthood. He said, the exercise of prudence in discerning family size is what Pope called responsible parenthood. His words explain very beautifully the ends of marriage with reverence toward God and the creation of new human life. Let me quote from the Humanae Vitae. Married love, therefore, requires a husband and wife the full awareness of their obligations in the matter of responsible parenthood. We do well to consider responsible parenthood in the light of its varied, legitimate, and interrelated aspects. With regard to biological processes, responsible parenthood means an awareness of and respect for their proper functions. So, ang unang aspeto is yung biological aspect. Kaya ang gagamitin ay natural family planning, using what God has given in our nature, not violating our own bodies, and therefore respecting our bodies, and therefore promoting health kasi nakakalusog, nakakasira ng kalusugan lahat ng intrusive and artificial methods of procreation. And so, the first thing is, on the biological level, ito ay nire-respeto po ang kaganapan at nire-respeto din ang kalusugan ng ating mga katawan. With regard to man's innate drives, emotions, responsible parenthood means that man's reason must exert control over them. So, on a more, sabihin natin sa level of feelings, makes clear responsible parenthood that we are in control. And it's not our passions that control our life. It's we that control our passions. At napakahalaga po yun. Dahil kung nawawala yan, kung nawawala ang concept of we being in control, naku, patay tayo dyan. Naguguluhan, hindi lang yung bilang ng mga anak, kundi ang kabuuan ng marriage life ay nasisira kapag isa sa dalawa, and particularly the man, cannot control his passions. So, responsible parenthood using natural family planning, it's a school of control. It's a school where you learn how to control your passions so you can use them well to put to spice up the relationship, to make the married life better, and not to let it control your life that eventually can ruin married life. With regard to physical, economic, psychological, and social conditions, responsible parenthood is exercised by those who prudently and generously decide to have more children, and by those who, for serious reason, with due respect to moral precept, decide not to have additional children. So it's not about having more children. It's about making the right decision. It's praying over, talking over, analyzing, thinking together, husband and wife, and therefore making the decision to generously have more kids, or to reading the needs of this particular family, deciding not to have more children. In a word, the exercise of responsible parenthood requires that the husband and wife, keeping a right order of priorities, recognize their own duties toward God, themselves, their families, and human society. I love this. Natural family planning, exercise in the context of responsible parenthood, teaches husband and wife to keep priority in life. Ano ang mas mahalaga? sa kanilang buhay. And living their life bilang katiwala ng Diyos, hindi may-ari. So yung sense ng pananagutan sa Diyos, pabiyaya. So let me go to the part 3 of our sharing, my sharing, that will be about some of the pastoral insights that I have learned sa 20 taong bilang missionero dito sa Pilipinas at 21 taong bilang pare. Number 1, big learning ng panahon na ako'y parish priest sa Payatas. Responsible parenthood, particularly natural family planning, works only in the broader approach of family life, helping couples how to talk. So, pag tinuruan sila mag-usap, sakalang oobra ang natural family planning. Ang key sa natural family planning ng gagana, ng maging maayos, ng maging effective, na nakakatulong sa buhay mag-asawa, ay kapag yung husband and wife ay natuto mag-usap. Dahil isa sa mga malalaging problema ng majority of couples, hindi marunong mag-usap. Marunong mag-away, summa cum laude, marunong magtalo, may medals pa doon sa larangan na yan, pero mag-usap sa mga bagang mahalaga, hindi marunong at hindi madali. At walang karanasan ng malalim ng pag-uusapan. So it's either napunta sa sigawan, o it's either napunta sa katahimikan, o it's either isa lang sa dalawa ang nagdedesisyon, or parehas silang nahihiya makipag-usap, or pag-uusapan, for example, yung sex sa marriage. And therefore, may mga topics na hindi pinag-uusapan. And usually, yung mga mahalagang topics ay hindi pinag-uusapan. And therefore, hindi oobra ang natural family planning. And so this is the first learning experience for me. Kung gusto nating ang effective teaching ng natural family planning, we have to engage couples in a basic thing, that is teaching how to dialogue. Dito I found out na groups like Marriage Encounter, Couples for Christ, Suyuan, and other movements of family and life ay malaking tulong. Malaking tulong talaga. So, it's only in that context na natural family planning works. Nakita ko sa Payatas many times na sinubukan magbigay ng seminar on natural family planning sa mga nanay ng feeding, for example, palpak, sa mga volunteers ng chapel, palpak, sa grupo ng mga nanay ng lectors or commentator, palpak. Disaster, hindi umobra. The only thing na umobra ay kapag yung couple ay on the same page, dahil nasasanay sila na pag-uusapan ang mga issues mag-asawa. And usually, because they were taught how to dialogue, how to listen with empathy, how to let the other person express him or herself first, etc., etc., etc. And so, the first pastoral realization is, kung gusto nating strengthen ang natural family planning, ang kailangan i-strengthen natin is yung family and life ministry. Particularly, yung mga skills on how to dialogue, communication skills of the couple. That's a conditio sine qua non. It's a condition that if there is not, then natural family planning will never happen. Second pastoral realization, bring the man to the conversation or forget about it. Maraming beses naranasan ko na ang ating mga seminars o natural family planning ay para sa mga nanay. At ang tatay, hindi kasali, hindi kasama. Ano ang problema? Well, ang problema ay pag hindi siya kasama, kung hindi siya interesado, hindi talaga uobra. Kasi mga secrets of a natural family planning will be right dialogue, self-control, and therefore, kung hindi on board yung lalaki, wala, palpag ito. It will never work. Kaya, that's my second pastoral suggestion is, especially for dioceses and parishes and ministries, if we want to promote natural family planning, work with the men. Mahalaga po na bring the guys to the conversation. Otherwise, walang mangyari. Nung ako'y nasa Payatas, as I said, I experienced this several times, again and again. Sinubukan po namin magbigay ng seminar sa mga nanay ng feeding. Wala, hindi umobra. Sinubukan tumawag sa mga couples, hindi ring dumarating, mga babae lang ang sumusulpot. Ang naging effective is working with a group of men. So nagsimula kami, I remember, in one chapel, in Ascension Chapel sa Payatas, nagsimula kami ng grupo na for the boys only. We call it St. Joseph Group. Mga lalaki lang. Nagsimula ng nag-outing kami and then nagsimula ng mga Saturday night na kwentuhan for the boys. May konting San Miguel na kasama, na may videoke, etc. After a few times, we had picnic, we had outing, we had meetings. The boys themselves asked, sana Father, minsan kasama mga asawa namin. Yan. Marriage life kung saan ang nagmuno at nag-request ay ang lalaki. So that time when they asked me and I didn't know what to do or how to do it, so I approached Sefam and sila po ay nagdala ng suyuan group na nagsimula po yun, marriage encounter. So suyuan, marriage encounter, buhay spiritual mag-asawa, and well, I can tell you, in a small chapel of Payatas, kung saan siguro, nung sinimulan namin ito, siguro mga nasa 40 or 50 persons lang ang nagsimba every Sunday. Umabot, after 4 or 5 years of working, we had almost 200 couples regularly attending Mass, actively in church, etc., etc. That was the context kung saan inintroduce ng natural family planning. So you invest, so you want to talk about natural family planning and you start investing in gathering the men. Because if you don't bring the men to the conversation, bye-bye natural family planning. The third realization or pastoral insight is start natural family planning with young people. When they are starting to think about marriage, when they are starting to have a very strong sexual drive, start with them. Don't start with all couples. Minsan kasi sinisimula po itong mga seminar sa mga matatandang couple na. I think we have to start with young people before even they get married, before even na may boyfriend or girlfriend. Mahalaga na alam na nila ang kahalagahan ng kanilang katawan bilang talaga bilang sagrado at sagradong bigay ng Diyos para sila mismo in all their freedom, they will be able to regulate the number of children according to their capacity and to their needs, etc., etc. So, kailangan umpisahan yung pagtuturo sa mga kabataan. At yun po'y naranasan ko sa kasalukuyan kong parokya ng Kristong Hari. Mayroon po yung Family and Life nagbibigay po ng mga seminars sa mga kabataan. At napakaganda po yung mga feedback ng mga youth na umaten at dumalo. Nung una, nawirduhan sila nung sila'y kinumbida kasi feeling nila natural family planning. Wala ni boyfriend, ni girlfriend, wala ako eh. But eventually, they realize, wow, ang ganda naman. Bagong pasuking ang buhay mag-asawa, alam ko, nauunawaan ko ang kahalagahan, naiintindihan ko. And therefore, they will face relationships, even at the level of boyfriend-girlfriend, they will face relationship sa tamang perspektibo. Isa pa sa natutunan ko na many times we start teaching couples a little too late. And so, mahalaga na ang teaching ng natural family planning and responsible parenthood, it comes as early as when they are still before marriage. Not in the preparation for marriage, but way before that. So usually, sa ating mga simbahan, sinisimula itong teaching na ito, either pre-K na, bago silang ikasal, or already in marriage encounter when they are already married. My suggestion is really move backward and start as early as in youth ministry. Dahil napakaganda at napakagandang feedback ng mga youth na sinama at tinuruan at pinag-usapan at pinag-isipan ang mga issues na ito sa murang edad. Number 4, invest in natural family planning clinics to make it accessible. We need more clinics or hire personnel. Noong ako'y nasa Camarin, Parish Priest ng Our Lady of Lourdes in Camarin, we had a very active family and life ministry, and one of our leaders that was also a nurse was eventually hired by the diocese so that we will have professionals teaching natural family planning. I think maraming tao ay interested pero hindi po madaling ma-access ang turo ng professionals. Mahalaga po ito na nagtuturo ay alam niya kung ano ang tinuturo. And sometimes for that, I think mahalaga na mag-i-invest po tayo. Mayroon po tayong clinics, mayroon po tayong clinics specialized in tuberculosis, mayroon po tayong, I think, clinics that teach natural family planning has to be a reality in every diocese in the country. And finally, something that is very dear to my heart, we need to be more aggressive on social media campaign about the beauty, the practicality, the health factor, showing that natural family planning is healthy, it's holistic, it is effective, and it is beneficial for the couple. Because it's not just beneficial in preventing pregnancy or planning a pregnancy, but it's also effective because affects the couple. You have to be so much on board, husband and wife, and talk. Na yung mga couples na nagpa-practice ng family planning, they have also a better communication skills, a better intimacy, a better love life. Therefore, it's beneficial in every aspect. It's healthier for your body. It makes better your relationship. It's wise, and also it makes you more mature because appeals to your sense of discernment, teaches you to be thinking, praying, and discerning couple. And so, the challenges are many, many. I'm happy na mayroon po tayong ganitong forum na pag-uusapan po natin ang kahalagahan, ang kagandahan, at higit sa lahat, ang hamon, paanong itong i-popularize, paano po ito dalhin sa lahat ng dako, and therefore, paanong tulungan ng mga couples to be more loving, to be more open to dialogue, to have more meaningful relationships. Yun ang hamon. Yun ang hamon. And therefore, to be more mature in the decision making about their number of children, and also to be more healthy. And ngayon na usong-uso lahat po ng talagang natural. Pag tayo ay kumakain, gusto nating na organic, na walang pesticide, etc., etc. Kung ito'y ginagamit natin sa pag-prepare ng salad o pagluto ng pagkain, what much more sa paggawa ng mga bata. And therefore, how important it is that in the whole process of bringing life to the world, we are not only organic but natural, naaayon sa plano at kalooban ng Diyos. That with every child, the couple will become stronger, will become stronger the society and the community. So, salamat po sa pagkakataon na magbahagi sa aking karanasan. Ito po yung mga points na sa akin ay talagang highlighted at mahalaga about the teachings of Pope Francis, Pope John Paul II, and Pope Paul VI. And yung hamon na itong mga katotohanan ito ay ibababa natin sa ating mga pastoral plans, sa ating mga parokya, involving, of course, family and life primarily, but also involving our PYM, our youth ministries, and also involving our SOCOM, our social media presence in the world. So, thank you very much and God bless.